Okay, so here we go. We're going to read the second section of Beowulf. This is Beowulf homework number 2. I got a nice document camera set up this time, so it should be a lot better for everybody to follow along. Okay, so you need your supplies. You need a red, green, and blue pen. Make sure you have those. I'm going to go over the writing again today. You need your study questions for Beowulf homework number 2. This is pages 46 through 49. You need some notebook paper to write down your answers to the study questions. And you need a book. Now, some of you realize that you do have to write down these answers to the study questions on your notebook paper, because it will be on your binder check. And you will have a test over Beowulf as well, so you need to write down the answers to the study questions and keep those in your binder. Because I'm reading this with you and giving you the answers to the study questions, I don't see a reason for you to turn those study questions in, because I'm giving you the answers. So you're supposed to keep those in your binder and study them for the test that we will have over the story of Beowulf. So you need to make sure that those are in your binder. You should be writing down the answers as we go through this video, so that you have those for your binder check and to study. Okay, before we start reading this section, I just want to summarize what happened in the first section. There is a tribe of warriors called the Danes, and they are being attacked by a monster named Grendel. This monster has been attacking these people for 12 years. It's a very long time. Grendel, the monster, was created in hell. So because he was created in hell, he's capable of evil actions, which is shown by him attacking and killing these people every night for 12 years. He definitely symbolizes or represents evil. The monster Grendel symbolizes or represents evil. We also found out in the last section that the Danes, these warriors, were trying to ask for Hell's guidance to get rid of Grendel, which told us, the reader, that these people were not exposed to the Christian religion yet. And so because they have this evil in their life, they are going to have to be exposed to Christianity, so that they can get rid of this evil in their life, as otherwise known as the monster Grendel. Keep that in mind as we read the rest of the story. Remember, the story was created many years ago when the religion of Christianity was spreading throughout this area of the world in Europe, and they wrote this story as a way of entertainment, for people to listen to the story of getting rid of the evil in their lives and accepting Christianity and God. So that's why the story was written, was to get people to convert. So it was an it's almost like listening to a movie back, in the day. So rather than seeing the movie, they listened to it, as it was being told to them. And it was a way to get them interested in the religion of Christianity. So that's just a very short recap of the first section. If you didn't do those study questions, you probably should do them and put them in your binder. And if you didn't do the writing for the first section, you definitely need to do that, because that is great. All right, so I just want to point this out. I just went over it, but it says right here, this is what I grade as your summary, basically your color writing. And it says on a separate sheet of paper, but you should have the color writing handout with the boxes. You should have that as well. So these study questions are not for a grade. They're to go in your binder and then use those to study for the test later. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our paper. Let me show you mine here. So you obviously want to have your name and your class period somewhere on the paper. I prefer it be over here. Then you might want to label it Beowulf homework number 2. And if you look at the study questions, it says answer the following questions on a separate sheet of paper. Identify these characters as you read. So we need to write these down before we write down the answer for number 1. Okay, so we have these 4 characters that we're going to write down on our paper before number 1. So if you can see, I just wrote them and skipped a couple spaces so that I'd have them all written down to fill in. And then after this last one that we have to identify, I would skip a couple of lines and then I would put my number 1, and that's where I would put my answer to number 1. So that way you have these characters already listed before the answers to the study questions. So that's how I would go ahead and set up my paper. Okay, you can pause the video to do whatever you need to do to get ready, but I'm going to go ahead and start reading so we can answer these questions as we go. This section that we're reading today is about the title character of Beowulf. That is his name. Okay, he is not an actual wolf. That's just his name, but he's a human, just like everybody else. I'm going to go ahead and read here. Okay, page 46. You can follow along in your book, or you can just follow along on here. Okay, so the living sorrow of Healfdene's son simmered bitter and fresh, and no wisdom or strength could break it. The agony hung on king and people alike, harsh and unending, violent and cruel and evil. So they're just talking about how Hrothgar, the king of the Danes, just kept getting attacked over and over. In his far-off home, Beowulf, Higelac's follower, so look over here in the margin of your book. Go back out. It says Higelac's follower, a warrior loyal to Hygelac, king of the Geats, Beowulf's uncle. So Beowulf, our hero, his uncle is the king of his people. Okay, so Higelac's follower and strongest of the Geats, greater and stronger than anyone anywhere in this world. So they're clearly exaggerating Beowulf's strength. They're saying he's stronger and greater than anywhere in the world. So why is it that you think that they are over-exaggerating how strong and powerful he is? You think about that for just a second, and let's go ahead and identify that first character that we already wrote down. So we're going to identify Beowulf because we just read about him. So let's go ahead and fill him in. So based on the margin of the book that I just pointed out to you, Beowulf is, sorry, I gotta cover this up here. So Beowulf is a warrior loyal to Hygelac and is strongest of the Geats. So the Geats are the tribe with Beowulf, and then the Danes, we'll get to them later. They are the ones that are being attacked by Grendel. Okay, so make sure you write down Beowulf, and make sure you have that again in your list of characters before number 1. So you're going to have Beowulf, Agetho, Geats, Danes, and then you'll have number 1. Okay, so you should have filled in Beowulf. Alright, now we can go ahead and answer number 1. So we're going to skip those other 3 for right now. We'll come back and fill those in. But we've already answered number 1, or we talked about it at least. And the question was, what kind of effect does this kind of exaggeration have on epic poetry? So why are they saying that Beowulf is greater and stronger than anyone anywhere in this world? It's because it's making him look like the hero. It's setting him up as the epic hero. I mean, based on the notes that we talked about for epic hero, they have to be some kind of superhuman abilities, some kind of like high position in society. So this exaggeration is just making him, making it known that he is the hero of the story. So there's number 1 for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue right here. So Beowulf had heard, so in his far off home, so Beowulf lives far away from these people, he heard about everything that had been happening. So he heard how Grendel filled nights with horror and quickly commanded a boat fitted out, proclaiming that he'd go to that famous king, would sail across the sea to Hrothgar. So he's got to travel a long distance to get there. Now when help was needed, none of the wise ones regretted his going. Much as he was loved by the Geats, the omens were good, and they urged the adventure on. So his people let him go. So Beowulf chose the mightiest men he could find, the bravest and best of the Geats, 14 in all, and led them down to their boat. So that's number 2. How many men does Beowulf take with him? He takes 14 men, so there's number 2. How many men does Beowulf take? He takes 14. Okay, so now we're going to go to the top of the next page. I have to readjust my camera, so sorry for the motion there. Okay, so we're on the next page. We're on page 47. We're going to skip basically the whole kind of top half of the page. So we're starting kind of in the middle of the page where it says Hail Hrothgar. And Beowulf has arrived where Grendel is attacking. He's arrived at the land of the Danes, and he's talking to the king, Hrothgar. So this is Beowulf speaking. So, Hail Hrothgar, Hygelac is my cousin and my king. The days of my youth have been filled with glory, and now Grendel's name has echoed in our land. Sailors have brought us stories of Heorot. So that's how Beowulf heard, is sailors coming to his land and telling him the story of Grendel. The best of all mead halls, remember mead means alcohol, so basically bar, deserted and useless when the moon hangs in the skies, the sun had lit. Light and life fleeing together. So this line right here, light and life fleeing together. This word flee, that means to run away or to go away. So if light is going away and life is going away at the same time, it just means that when the light goes away or when it becomes dark or night, then the life goes away as well, because Grendel attacks at night. Okay, so that would be your answer for number 3. What does the poet mean by light and life fleeing together? And that's what we just discussed right there. At night, Grendel attacks, killing people. So when the light goes away, then life goes away. So there's that for number 3, because Grendel attacks at night. Okay, we're going to continue here. So my people have said, the wisest, most knowing, and best of them, that my duty was to go to the Danes' great king. They have seen my strength for themselves, have watched me rise from the darkness of war, dripping with my enemy's blood. I drove 5 great giants into chains, chased all of that race from the earth. I swam in the blackness of night, hunting monsters out of the ocean and killing them one. Next page. By one. Sorry, the top of the page. And killing them one by one. Death was my errand and the fate they had earned. So Beowulf's giving like this list of things that he's done, this resume, if you will, of things that he's done. So that's number 4. What does Beowulf say that are in, what are some battles that Beowulf says he has fought in and won? So he just told us some of the things that he's done. He said that he drove 5 great giants into chains and chased all that race from the earth, and he swam in the ocean hunting and killing sea monsters. So why do you think he's telling the king these things? Like, why is he giving his resume to the king? Just thinking about that for a second. And it's because he wants to prove to the king that he can do this. He's saying, hey, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. So as far as, battling your monster, that should be nothing. Okay, so he's trying to prove that he is capable of taking on this task. Okay, we're going to keep going. So we ended here. Now Grendel and I are called together, and I've come. Grant me then, Lord and Protector of this noble place, a single request. So he has one request, or one request for him, for King Hrothgar. He says, I have come so far, O shelter of warriors, and your people's loved friends, that this one favor you should not refuse me, that I alone, and with the help of my men, may purge all evil from this hall. So he's saying he and his men are going to be the ones that take on Grendel, because he doesn't want any more of the Danes to die. Now he says purge, so look over here in the margin. It says to cleanse or rid of something undesirable. So he wants to cleanse the evil, right here, evil, from this hall. So he wants to get rid of Grendel for them. He says, I want to cleanse this place of all evil. So that's number 5. What does the word purge mean? So there's number 5 right there, to cleanse or purify. So make sure you have that. Then he goes on to say, I have heard too that the monstrous scorn of men is so great that he needs no weapons and fears none, nor will I. So he's saying, I've heard that Grendel doesn't use any weapons. So because he doesn't use any weapons, I'm not going to use any weapons. So that's another question or another request that he asks of Hrothgar, which is number 6. Number 6 says, excuse me, he says, the question for number 6 says, what request does Beowulf make to Hrothgar? So he says that there it is, there, number 6, he wants to fight Grendel with no weapons. So why do you think he wants to fight Grendel with no weapons? Just think about that. If Grendel doesn't use weapons and Beowulf did use weapons, how would that look? Probably wouldn't look very fair. So Beowulf is saying, I want to make sure that it's a fair fight and that people don't say, well, yeah, of course you won because you had a weapon and he didn't. So he just wants to make sure it's a fair fight. Okay, we're going to continue right here. My lord Hygelac might think less of me if I let my sword go where my feet were afraid to. If I hid behind some broad linden shield, my hands alone shall fight for me. So I'm going to use just my hands, no weapons. Struggle for life against the monster. God, so we have the word God being used here. So that's clearly Christian. So obviously if Beowulf is saying God, then he must be Christian. So God must decide who will be given to death's cold grip. So what do you think Beowulf is saying right there? So he's basically saying that God is going to decide who's going to live and who's going to die. And Beowulf is accepting of either way because he knows that God is the one that's in control of his life. So he believes that, if God thinks that he should live, then he will. And if he thinks he should die, then he'll die. And he's okay with either one. Now, we answered number 7, but I didn't point it out. So I'm going to go ahead and point it out. So number 7 says, why do you think this request of Beowulf to fight Grendel with no weapons, why do you think that's important to Beowulf? And we talked about that. And it's because he believes in a fair fight. And then number 8, we just answered that. What is the meaning of God must decide who will be given to death's cold grip? And I just explained that. God will decide who will live and who should die. And Beowulf, of course, is putting his faith in his religion and his faith in God and Christianity, which again goes along with the message of the story, getting people to convert. So he's putting his faith in God. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. We stopped right here on line 175. But we're going to go ahead and skip pretty much down to the bottom of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and move this down just a little bit. We're down here at the bottom here at line 190. So this is the king's response, Hrothgar, the people that are being attacked. The king's response, he says, Hrothgar replied, protector of the Danes, Beowulf, you've come to us in friendship, and because of the reception your father found at our court. Edgetho. Okay, so let's stop because that's one of those people we need to know. Look over here on the margin. It says Edgetho, Beowulf's father. So let's go back at the very top before number 1 where you wrote those characters down. And let's go ahead and fill in Edgetho. So this is Beowulf's father. So hang on, I'm sorry I moved that. I shouldn't have. So remember, we already filled in Beowulf. This is at the very top of your paper, okay? We already filled in Beowulf. If you didn't get that, go back and get it. Then we have Edgetho, which we're about to fill in, so just hang on. And then you have these two, which we'll get to in a minute. And then you should have your answer for number 1. All right, so now let's fill in Edgetho. So this is Beowulf's father, right there. Beowulf's father. Okay? So that's an important character to know. So we're about to find out some interesting information about Beowulf's dad. So, Edgetho, your father, had begun a bitter feud. So this word feud right here, what does this word mean? Does you guys know what it means? Feud means fight, okay? Or argument even. So apparently Beowulf's dad started an argument, started a war or a fight, okay? Killing Halflaff, a wolfing warrior. So Beowulf's dad killed someone, and when he killed him, it started a war. Okay? So your father's countrymen were afraid of war if he returned to his home, and they turned him away. They turned him away. So they basically banished Beowulf's dad for killing that guy. Okay. So then your dad, or Beowulf's dad, he traveled across the curving waves to the land of the Danes. So Beowulf's dad went to the land of the Danes for help. He went to Hrothgar for help when he was banished. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Let's see what happened when he went to the land of the Danes, and if they did anything for him to help him when he was banished. So we're at the top of this page, page 49. So it says right here, this is line 204. We're going to start right there. And it says, I bought, like I bought something, like I bought a car, I bought a McDonald's, I bought, ice cream, whatever. So I bought the end of Edgetho, of your dad's quarrel. The word quarrel right here, that word pretty much means the same thing as the word on the other page, feud. So fight or disagreement. So Hrothgar, the king of these people that are being attacked by Grendel, the king is saying, I bought the end of your father's fight, sent ancient treasures through the ocean, furrows, it just means ocean, to the wolflings. So what did King Hrothgar do for Beowulf's dad? Think about it. What did he do? I bought the end of Edgetho's quarrel, sent ancient treasures. So think about it. So he basically bribed that other tribe with treasures to forget about the feud, to forget about the quarrel, and let him be able to go home. So he helped Beowulf's dad out tremendously. So number 9, it says summarize the events leading up to Edgetho's departure for the land of the Danes. So number 9 is asking you to summarize how Beowulf's dad ended up asking King Hrothgar for help. So how did Beowulf's dad end up asking King Hrothgar for help? And this is how we just discussed all of that. So I'm going to put it up here because we just talked about it. So how did he end up asking Hrothgar for help? Because he killed a warrior from another tribe, which caused a feud. Remember, that means fight, war, disagreement. And he was banished by his people and went to Hrothgar for help. So that's how Beowulf's dad ended up asking Hrothgar for help, is because he did that. All right. And then number 10 says, what service did Hrothgar perform for Beowulf's father? So how did Hrothgar help him? We just talked about that. He sent treasures to buy peace. He basically bribed the other tribe to let him be able to go home without them starting a war. Okay? So there we go. We're almost done. So we do not need any of that. So we're going to skip pretty much to the bottom of the page. We're down here. Right here, this is line 223. Right here where it says, but to table. But to table Beowulf a banquet in your honor. Let us toast your victories and talk of the future. The king is saying, let us toast your victories. Beowulf hasn't even fought Grendel yet. So why in the world is he saying, let's toast your victories? He doesn't know if he's going to win or lose, right? So why do you think he's saying that? Think about it. And it's because he's hoping that based on everything that Beowulf has done, that this will just be another victory for Beowulf. So he's saying, let's praise your past victories and hope that you have another victory with Grendel. So that's number 11 right there. The question for number 11 was saying, what is the meaning of let us toast your victories? And we just discussed that. So he's hoping that Beowulf will be successful yet again. Okay, very good. Now we have two characters at the top of our paper. Remember we had at the very top here. I'm going to zoom out. Oop, went the wrong way. Sorry. Okay, top of the page we had this. We filled in Beowulf. We filled in Edgetho. And we still have these two characters that we still have to fill in, right? So let's go ahead and identify those two characters. So here we go. We have, I'm going to zoom in again. All right, we have the Danes, and these are the people that are being attacked by Grendel, the people that Beowulf is agreeing to help. All right. And then we have the Geats, and these are Beowulf's people. These are the Geats that belong with Beowulf. They're his tribe. And then these two tribes are not located on the same land. They're separated by a sea. And the reason you need to know that is because the hero, the epic hero, based on those notes that we took, has to travel a long distance to help someone. So that's why you need to remember that they are not close together. So there's those last two characters. Okay, so by this point in time, you should have all of these questions answered. You should have all 11 of these answered, plus these characters up here identified. So all of this should be done. All right, so the only thing left for you to do is this summary, this color writing that you have to do. Now, I'm going to go over this color writing, but I want you guys to realize that this example that I'm showing you, you are not to write this down as your answer, okay? If you want to write this down as an example to use to help you do yours, you can. But you're not to use the same exact topic sentence I have. You're not supposed to use the same concrete detail I have, and so on. So this is just to show you exactly how to do it. Okay, so here is our writing. We have the question right here. It's asking, summarize what happened in this section of Beowulf. Use text evidence to support your summary. So we have to tell what happened in this section, and we have to use text evidence to support what we say happened. Now, I already told you, do not use this example. You can write it down to use, to work through it, and then you can come get another blank one and do yours on that one. But you cannot just simply copy everything I write down and turn that in. Okay, I hope that's clear. If you have any questions about this, you probably want to come ask me before you even start. This is your grade for this video. Okay, study questions that we just went through is to help you understand the story and to have those later to study for the test you will have over Beowulf. But I'm not checking those study questions other than with the binder checks. So if you don't have it in your binder, then you won't be able to answer those questions for the binder checks. But I'm not taking those study questions from you. I don't want them. This writing is what I want. Okay, this is how I know that you understood what I just discussed and what you should have followed along with me. So this is how I'm assessing your learning of the reading that we just did. Okay. All right, so you should start out with your blue pen, and we are going to start with a topic sentence. So this topic sentence is going to answer this question up here. So when it says what happened in this section of Beowulf, you have to say in this section of Beowulf, and then tell me something that happened. So again, do not use this as your topic sentence, but you can use this as an example to help you come up with yours. Now I'm having issues fitting this all on the screen. I guess I wrote too big, but that's the best I can do. So in this section of Beowulf, now you have to pick something that happened in this section. There's many things that happen. So pick one thing that happened in this section of reading, and just this section. I don't want anything from the first part. I don't want anything from the next part. I want just this part that I just read with you. So pick one detail. Okay. So I picked that Hrothgar, king of the Danes, is hopeful that Beowulf will kill Grendel. That's what I chose as what happened in this section. Now there's many different things that I could have picked, but that's what I wanted to talk about. So now I have to find something in the actual story, in the actual book here, that shows that King Hrothgar is hopeful that Beowulf will kill Grendel. I have to actually go in here in the story, okay? I have to find it somewhere in here, wherever these pages that we just read, and I have to find something, some words that show that Hrothgar is hopeful that Beowulf will kill Grendel, okay? I have to go in the story and find that. So my quote that I picked, my red concrete detail, was right here at the end that we just finished, right here. I went and wrote down this right here, let us toast your victories, right here. I picked that from the story. Now look, it does not have quotation marks around it, does it? No, it doesn't. But when you take this and you copy this onto your paper word for word, you've now made it a quotation. So you can use absolutely anything in these pages that you want to as your concrete detail, as your red. Okay, so whatever you write down here has to answer or show what you're trying to show. So again, I'm trying to show that King Hrothgar is hopeful that Beowulf will kill Grendel. So I said, for my concrete detail, I took that part out of the book and I said, Hrothgar says, let's toast your victories and talk of the future. Notice I have quotation marks at the beginning and the end, and I have a period. You guys need to watch your periods. You need to make sure I can see those periods, please. And so you have to make sure that you have a period here. Make sure you have quotation marks wherever you start copying. So one more time, here's the quote in the book. I just took this and I copied it right onto my page. All right, and I put quotation marks where it starts and where it ends. I gotta see that. All right, now remember, this that I just wrote down in red is showing this. So whatever you write down here has to be proven, has to come from the text, that it's there in the story. All right, now your green is your commentary. Why is this quote important? What does this show? So why did I pick this quote? All right, that's what your green is telling, or that's what your green is doing, is telling why I picked this. So this green box is not going to come from the book. This is coming from your head. All right, and remember, there's only one sentence in each box. I saw a lot of people that tried to put 2 or 3 sentences in boxes. No, just one sentence, one period in each box. So, all right, so now I need to explain, why did I pick this quote? Why did I think this was important? Why is this important? So my green, again, do not use this for yourself. You have to come up with something on your own. You can use this as an example, but do not just straight copy this down. So now I'm explaining this red. So I said Hrothgar is saying that he hopes the battle, with Grendel will be another victory for Beowulf. So all I'm doing is explaining this quote. Why is he saying let's toast your victories? Why is he saying that? And he's saying that because he hopes that this will be another victory for Beowulf. Again, that all ties in with this top sentence that we wrote down, or that I wrote down, excuse me. All right. So again, this all has to connect together. And then you're going to do the same thing over. You have one green and you're going to do another green. You're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to explain why again. So you're going to tell me again something that is important about this. Another reason why you picked it. Okay. So here's my example. I said Hrothgar has confidence in Beowulf to defeat Grendel. So he's just I'm just explaining it again. I'm saying that Hrothgar is confident that Beowulf will win, again, which ties in with my blue topic sentence at the very beginning. So you're just explaining it twice. All right, you're explaining its importance, how it connects with your topic sentence. If you don't understand any of this so far, or any of it at all, then you really need to come see me, because this is not going to go away, you guys. We're going to be doing one of these every time we read something, not just Beowulf, but in the future as well. So it's very important that you understand how to do this color writing. If I need to do a separate video just on color writing and do several examples, I will, but you guys need to let me know that. But these assignments are just going to be getting more and more, so you really do need to know how to do this. Okay, so we've explained our quote. We've explained this red quote twice in 2 different ways. So now only thing left to do is our conclusion. So you could say in conclusion, but I just chose not to. I said King Hrothgar hopes Beowulf will live up to his reputation and be able to defeat Grendel. And again, I should have made my period just a little bit darker there, just to make sure. And up on this green, it probably should have been, oh sorry, I'm fix that in a second, but just to make sure, in case you want to make sure I see those periods as well. But your conclusion sentence just kind of wraps everything up. You can kind of restate your topic sentence if you want to. but you're kind of just bringing everything back together, making it all relate together. So you don't want your conclusion sentence to be something that has nothing to do with what you've already talked about. So it has to all kind of connect together. So there's my conclusion. Now, this would be it if I were my own student. I would, of course, put my name on my paper, and then I would turn it in. And remember, this is your grade for this section, so I would put my name on it, and I would go turn it into the basket. The study questions, again, I don't need. I just need the color writing, and that's it. So if you have any questions, let me know. The color writing is due today, so make sure you get that done and turned in. And if you didn't do the study questions now, or started and stopped or whatever, you're going to have to go back and watch this video and get those answers so that you can have them in your binder. So anyway, if you guys have any questions about anything that I went over, please let me know. Otherwise, please turn in the color writing and my pens when you finish. Thank you.